Hi everyone, I'm Alex Matthews. I'm the farm manager at the New Entry Sustainable Farming Project. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit today about some conservation practices we're implementing on our incubator farm thanks to the support of a USDA conservation and innovation grant. And I'm going to be highlighting the work we're doing with our new Great Plains 606 no-till seed drill, which we were able to purchase through an MDAR acre grant. 606, I think, refers to the width. NT is no-till. And so the idea behind this machine is that you can put down grain crops or cover crops in one pass without having to do a lot of tillage or bed prep to get your crop established. Yeah, so the idea of no-till implements in general is to disturb the soil surface as little as possible and to really kind of manage your contact with the soil so that you're only disturbing the area exactly where your seed is going. So this specific machine has kind of three different parts that touch the soil. Up here we have this fluted coulter, I think it's called, unless I just made up two words and strung them together. And so this basically is what's going to be cutting into your soil and cutting through any plant material. And that can cut through cover crop residue, that can cut through corn stalks, that can cut through biodegradable plastic, so that instead of needing to, prep your seed bed with a plow or disc or a perfecta, you can really just mow whatever was in there last, grains, cover crop, vegetable crop, and this will cut right through it and give your seed an opening in the soil. And the next step along that path are these two little discs, or two pretty big discs, I guess, actually, that run behind these coulters. And so basically what that does is, now that you've kind of cut up whatever organic matter is sitting there, these spin and will kind of open up a tiny furrow for your seed to drop into. And then right behind these discs, these tubes are where the seeds comes down. This is your small seed, this is your regular or large seed. The seed drops right in there into that tiny furrow, and then this press wheel on the back rolls over that furrow and kind of closes the furrow and pushes the seed into the ground. So you're getting good seed to soil contact, which is going to help germination. Hopefully push it down enough so that birds and other critters can't find it. And that's it. These mechanisms are spaced out 7.5 inches apart. So every 7.5 inches, you're getting a nice solid row of cover crop. You're not disturbing any of the other soil or organic matter that you're trying to leave untouched on the surface. Okay, so at the top of the machine, we have two different seed boxes with different gearing inside. So this front one is for small seeds, so your clovers, your grasses, stuff like that. Your rate's only going to be kind of a couple pounds per acre because the seeds are so small. And so that feeds down into these little tubes and will drop small grasses and then small seeds. And then this is your calibration crank. So that's kind of how you set the rate. That will determine how wide each of these little cups opens up and lets seed pass through. And then behind that is your main seed box, and this still has some buckwheat in it from the seeding I did last week. And so this is for all your larger grains. This thing has a capacity of about 400 pounds, so you can fill it to the brim and then just go run it. So two different calibrations for the main seed box. You have this over here, which sets your drive chain ratio, so that goes from 1 to 4, and then you have over here the range from 0 to 100. Again, that'll determine kind of how wide each of these little cups gets opened up and help you set the rate that you want to get. You can go, depending on the grain, anywhere from like 0 to 300 pounds per acre. And it's very helpful. They've done a lot of the work for you. You have this seed, native grass, and small seed rate charts. So for the buckwheat, for example, it'll tell you have basically the drive types, which is that handle on the right, the 1 through 4. and then you have the seed rate handle setting. So what we're looking for is about 120 pounds per acre. And you always want to go to the one that's kind of closest in the middle range for consistency. And so you can see the range, you get anywhere from 0 to 320 pounds per acre of buckwheat down. We're going for about 120, so I'm going to set my drive type handle to 4, which is where it's at now, and my seed rate handle is just about 40, which should be getting me about 118 pounds per acre. And if I'm shooting for 120, that's going to be close enough for me. The other kind of two things of note. So that's your seed gauge telling you how much you have left. That is probably one of the lesser reliable parts of this machine. I've been empty and still had it read not empty, and vice versa. So that part I'm always a little bit paranoid about. And then this thing is cool, although I've not set it up yet because it's by far the most technically involved part of this machine. But that'll actually keep track of your acreage and help you kind of keep some stats and metrics. So as far as field conditions go, this is the field we're going to be seeding. Obviously, not quite a no-till experiment, as Ben and I have worked the land up to try to get kind of to kill down the weeds. This season, we just moved to this land, and so it hasn't been farmed in 3 years. There was a lot of weeds kind of already established, and so we needed to do some primary tillage to kind of get all that stuff killed down a little bit. We're seeding buckwheat today. The idea of buckwheat is to try to basically outcompete any weeds that might germinate. When you're getting ready to seed cover crop, you kind of need to do it in a way where the seeds you're putting down have some kind of advantage. And so kind of the three most common circumstances are if you're seeding into something that was already like a well-tended vegetable field or a cover crop where the weeds, are going to be kind of shaded out or mulched out by something, and then your cover crop will have a chance to pop up underneath that. Or kind of towards the end of the season, once the weed seed germination cycles have slowed down, and you're not going to get weed seed germination, so you don't need to worry kind of about competition in the same way. Or in a situation like this, basically we needed to start with a clean seed bed so that when we put the buckwheat down, it'll outcompete anything that kind of starts growing at the same time as it starts growing. But because there were already weeds that had a head start, we had to do some regular tillage, which is why you won't get to see this machine in all its working capacity. You can see that those plates are now fully engaged, and so when I turn this wheel, which is basically how it runs in the field, all that gear is driving. You can actually hear the seed dropping if I stay quiet. They have it in the manual kind of how many wheel turns it is per acre, and so what you would do is you would only pour seed. You would kind of focus your seed on a couple of the hoppers, and then you would take off the hose, put the hose over like a bucket, spin the wheel enough times to represent like 1/10 of an acre, and then weigh the seed and do the math out to see if you're getting the pounds per acre that you thought that the guide told you were.